Foreign agents knew about the Obama coup. Intelligence services were already inside the brains of Hillary Clinton and Obama as they were trying to come up with a scheme to stop President Trump. You see, this is what is being reported from Fox News. We got a bunch of little other stories breaking that are not actually that little. We had this from the Federalist as well, also reporting that an email from Susan Rice, you remember her, confirms that Michael Flynn was personally targeted in an Oval Office meeting because of that phone call that he had with Kislyak that was part of just the regular presidential transition process. And it's all starting to stack up. So the question is, what's going to happen next with Obama? We've also got this report over from our friends at Sleuth News, Undead FOIA on X, saying they've got some inside documents as well. These are what the emails actually look like that we'll take a look at. And then reaction from all of this, courtesy of the president, on with Miranda Devine. And that is always a treat. So we'll go back to that one. But here's the main story. Says Ratcliffe came out and he was communicating that there's going to be a bunch more information on this that is dropping. But what they have now, this is a Fox News exclusive, U.S. intelligence had credible foreign sources indicating that the FBI would play a role in spreading the salacious Trump-Russia collusion narrative before the Bureau ever launched its Crossfire hurricane probe. Credible foreign sources knew the FBI was going to rig our elections? What? How'd that work? CIA Director John Ratcliffe is expected to declassify the underlying intelligence, including a classified annex, related to former special counsel John Durham. And we cannot wait to get our hands on that one. Now, a source familiar with the contents of the classified annex told Fox News that while it may not have been exactly clear in the moment what the intelligence collection meant with the benefit of hindsight, it predicted the FBI's next move with alarming specificity. Why is that? Do they have agents in the FBI who know? Is Peter Strzok a Russian asset or something? Here, ultimately, the release of the classified annex will lend more credibility to the assertion that there was a coordinated plan inside the U.S. government to help Clinton stir up controversy around Trump and Russia because she was crashing in the polls. Mere days after this intelligence was collected, the FBI actually did it. Okay, this is wild stuff. The Russians knew that our FBI, or somebody knew, let's just say it's the Russians because that's who they're always concerned about, that they knew the FBI was going to do this stuff. It's really hard to see how Brennan, Clapper, and Comey are going to be able to explain this one away. Yeah. In 2020, Fox News Digital exclusively reported that the former CIA director, John Brennan, in the summer of 2016, briefed former President Barack Obama and administration officials on intelligence that then Democrat nominee Clinton was stirring up a plan to tie Trump to Russia. It's just insane. And we saw that, right? That was Jake Sullivan and Hillary Clinton posting this. It was the Steele dossier. They made it up. But the fact that foreign intelligence knew the FBI was going to be involved is a whole different level. Ratcliffe, as Director of National Intelligence, declassified Brennan's handwritten notes memorializing that meeting, which Fox News also obtained. On July 28th, Brennan briefed Obama on a plan from one of Clinton campaign foreign policy advisors to vilify Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by the Russian security service. Comey, who was then Vice President Joe Biden, and then Attorney General Loretta Lynch under Obama, and James Clapper were there. After the briefing, the CIA forwarded that information to counterintelligence and then to Peter Strzok, the guy who got fired by the FBI and deleted his entire X account, all the posts on it. Fox News Digital exclusively learned and obtained a report saying that the following information is provided for the exclusive use of your bureau for background investigation as appropriate. And per the request, the CIA provides the below examples of information the Crossfire Hurricane Fusion Cell has gleaned to date. All of it. Discussing Clinton's approval of a plan tying Trump to Russia based on made up stuff. The Steele dossier was all a hoax. And they needed to distract from James Comey coming out and not indicting her. The FBI on July 31st, 2016, opened a counterintelligence, right? That's like just months before the election. Opened a counterintelligence investigation into whether Trump and members of his campaign were colluding with Russia. So they set Trump up before the election and set him up on the back end of the election. And if you can't tie those two together as some sort of a conspiracy and indict somebody, well, what kind of a prosecutor are you? The FBI on July 31st opened that up. It ultimately turned into Crossfire Hurricane. They spied on Trump's campaign. The source told Fox News Digital on Monday that the declassification and release of the classified annex is being done with close coordination between Ratcliffe, Patel, Tulsi, Bondi, Hartman, Chuck Grassley, who I'm going to see tomorrow. That's why we're here. Going to see a Chuck. A source familiar told Fox News Digital that the CIA and NSA have signed off on declassifying their sensitive intelligence that serves as the basis for the classified annex's findings. Meanwhile, while Ratcliffe was DNI, he provided intelligence to Durham as part of a larger trove of more than 1,000 documents. And yeah, a lot of people are asking that too. It's like, why didn't Ratcliffe know or release those documents the first time around? Like, why are we all just kind of getting this now? A former senior Trump official told Fox News Digital that Ratcliffe advocated for releasing the intelligence back then, answer my own question, but that Durham, who at the time was expecting to release an interim report, declined on the basis that it could impact my investigation. So Durham is a cover-up boy, which had yet to reach a determination on potential prosecutions, which is what we thought. And Durham said he wanted to preserve his investigation, but was going to release an interim report, and didn't. And then he said he was afraid to get accused of politicization and disappeared. Totally spineless. Thankfully, the real politicization is all coming to light now. And former special counsel, and we read through the Durham report, and I remember reading it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a love affair. What a love fest. Because these guys are institutionalists. They're born and bred in these institutions, and then they just defend those institutions no matter what, because it's like defending their own body. They're like an extension of a bureaucracy. It's gross. And of course, Bill Barr was very much the same. And they're not even, I think, aligned politically. They're more aligned with the institutional power and heft, and they kind of see themselves as an extension of it. But former special counsel Mueller was appointed to take over the fake investigation, the original Crossfire Hurricane, all made up. 2 years, Robert Mueller, tens of millions of dollars. After nearly 2 years, the investigation concluded no evidence of a criminal conspiracy, because it was fake, or coordination between Trump and Russia. No evidence at all. Shortly after John Durham was appointed as special counsel, the probe began. Durham found the FBI failed to act on a clear warning sign that the Bureau was the target of a Clinton-led effort to manipulate or influence law enforcement process for political purposes ahead of 2016. We covered that entire trial. That was Michael Sussman. He was the operative who was doing that. And he got prosecuted by John Durham and acquitted by DC Blue Democrats, because they were a jury of his peers. And like, we're not going to convict this dude. He was going after Trump, try to set him up. That's what we want him to do. So he was acquitted on that. And Durham just let every other case go in the aftermath. Oh, guess there's nothing else to do here because I couldn't get Michael Sussman, and just wrapped the whole thing up with a little bow on it. And again, it was like a gimme trial. We're like, are they even trying? I don't think John Durham even did anything. So it was, he just sat in the back row and the other dudes handled it. But Durham found the FBI failed to act on a clear warning sign. Michael Sussman took fake propaganda evidence, fed it to the FBI, James Baker, who's a Democrat friend, and was like, James, just take this and like say the FBI do something with it. And seeding it, the people spreading misinformation and disinformation on behalf of foreign nations that benefit foreign nations are these people. And Durham didn't do anything about it. The aforementioned facts reflect a rather startling and inexplicable failure to adequately consider and incorporate the Clinton plan intelligence into the FBI's investigative decision-making in Crossfire Hurricane. So, you know Hillary is going to try to exploit you guys so that you can attack Trump, her political opponent. Do you want to be a party to that? Most respectable law enforcement agents and agencies and police officers don't, right? If you're like calling the police on your husband because you want to get an advantage in your custody battle or something, then that's not what law enforcement is for, right? They're for real things and for investigating actual cases and crimes. And so if the FBI is taken advantage of by Hillary Clinton and they're being warned about that, why did they continue to do it? It's like, oh, well, we know we're doing it. We're the FBI. We're actually involved in this coup effort. Too bad the Russians know about it, or whoever these foreign agents, intelligence agencies are, but it is something that should have, you would argue, deviate the entire investigation. Did they plant this stuff? Okay, if that's true, we should investigate them for false and fraudulent reporting to federal law enforcement. But they didn't, because they wanted that end game to happen. Now, indeed, had the FBI opened the Crossfire Hurricane investigation as an assessment and in turn gathered and analyzed data in concert with the information from the Clinton plan intelligence, it's likely that the information received would have been examined with a more critical eye, yeah. And just like the CIA and just like the DNI, they probably should just like slow things down and just like start a spreadsheet or something. And then the coups will stop happening. Durham in his report said the FBI failed to act on what should have been, when combined with other incontrovertible facts, a clear sign that the FBI might be the target of an effort to manipulate or influence the law enforcement process. On Sunday, during an interview, Ratcliffe previewed the declassification, saying, "We're going to get our hands on that classified annex, baby." He said, "What the intelligence shows is that part of this was a Hillary Clinton plan, but part of it was an FBI plan to be an accelerant, and the expected release of the annex is hopefully coming soon." FBI Director Kash Patel opened a criminal investigation into Brennan and Comey, and Gabbard sent criminal referrals over to Pam Bondi for all these Obama-era officials. So we'll see if Pam Bondi does anything with it. We certainly hope so. Now, what's been interesting in the context of the Epstein saga is that the media is hyperventilating over Epstein, and it is really, really disappointing that we couldn't just have gotten the Epstein stuff settled so that we could then focus on this coup attempt by our so-called elected officials at the highest levels of power of multiple agencies. Pretty important case, pretty important scandal and investigation. Might be the most significant in modern American history. I mean, Watergate was like a break-in for some files, okay? It's like a joke compared to a foreign power orchestrated coup by our own officials, blaming Russia, and Ukrainians are ceding some other information. It's insane what has actually happened. And the media doesn't want to talk about it because they'd rather just salivate over Epstein. It's almost like just a useful distraction, but it's not. It's also a very important case. And so if we could have just had, I think, a better handling from the administration, we wouldn't have these competing stories where one is seemingly sucking the oxygen out from the other end. And this is a massive story where these people still have a lot of power, and many of them are still working to stop Trump and really anybody who threatens their power. So, Office of DNI posted this, says 2,284 minutes. That's how much airtime ABC, NBC, CBS gave to the Russian hoax from 2017 to 2019. Now, in 2025, crickets. Yeah, because they're all complicit in it. This was an update from the DNI via Newsmax. Says Russiagate covered Trump's presidency during Trump's 2,200 minutes, and CBS, ABC, and NBC gave Tulsi zero coverage. Absolutely insane. What she did during that press release was historic. She announced that America had been infiltrated by people who were trying to usurp our entire system for their own continual power. And they didn't cover that, NBC. CBS gave it 41 seconds because they're complicit in it. They're part of it. They're extensions, probably of the CIA, literally, or our intelligence agencies. So they just shut up about it because they don't want to be called out as co-conspirators. Now, we also had this story from The Federalist, and they have done some amazing reports. They've got some awesome exclusives. Sean Davis wrote this. Says, declassified Susan Rice email now confirms that Michael Flynn was personally targeted in an Oval Office meeting. They went after specific people to create criminal allegations around them to make them the seed of the much bigger Trump target. Michael Flynn was personally targeted during a January 5th, 2017 Oval Office meeting that was arranged by who? Barack Obama. And so I'm seeing a lot of commentators out there, and guys like Andy McCarthy also, saying that Obama and Tulsi are not, well, Obama's not in any jeopardy, and Tulsi didn't release anything meaningful. Nothing new came out of this. We discovered all the same things, saying that Obama apparently is above the law and there's no possibility of investigating him. And this is just another example of his overt acts in furtherance of a conspiracy. He set another meeting on January 9th, a 5th. We had a 12-9 meeting. Then the report came out right around this time on January 5th that was fake from John Brennan, the ICA. And Obama is having an active role, bringing people into the Oval Office, almost like it's establishing a pattern of criminality, you know. Now, he'll turn around and just say, well, I'm just doing my job, just the president, just have to have these meetings. But then you can point back to the other 4 warnings the FBI got about Hillary Clinton taking advantage that they ignored. And on the back end, the same thing. They used her same propaganda from the Steele dossier and incorporated that into the sealed appendix of the ICA report that came down. So you tie it all together, indict him. On January 20th, 2017, as Trump was being inaugurated, White House National Security Advisor Susan Rice sent herself one of the weirdest emails, papering the file. She sent it to herself. Dear Susan, this is my last day, blah, blah, blah. Saying, then Joe Biden, she sent it to her email. It was an email detailing that meeting, the January 5th meeting, where Obama, again, is complicit. Between her, Susan Rice, the National Security Advisor, then Vice President Joe Biden, and Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, and James Comey, who got fired. In the email, portions of which were not declassified until recently, Rice recorded that Flynn, who at the time was the incoming National Security Advisor, was personally discussed and targeted during the meeting with Barry Obama. Here's the document over from Scribd that we'll take a look at in just one moment, but we'll continue on with the article. And here is what he writes. From a national security perspective, President Obama said he wants to be sure that as we engage with the upcoming team, we are mindful to ascertain if there is any reason we can not share information with them fully as it relates to Russia, is what she said. At the time, the Obama administration was actively spying on members of the Trump administration because they also opened up Crossfire Hurricane into him. Comey said he does have some concerns that NSA Flynn is speaking frequently with a Russian ambassador called Kislyak. This is during the time of the transition. Trump is coming in 15 days. He's supposed to be doing these things. Obama asked if Comey was saying, oh, so he's talking to the Russians, huh? Any idea what they were talking about? Rice wrote in an email, Comey said that it could be an issue, but Obama asked Comey if he was saying the NSC should not pass information to him. What do you think? He said, well, potentially. You need to walk on a beach first. Comey added that he has no indication thus far that Flynn has passed classified information, of course, because he didn't, but he noted that the level of communication is very unusual. The email did not explain how it would be unusual for an incoming national security advisor to converse with foreign leaders ahead of the new inauguration, especially Russia, kind of an important region and country. Many observers believe the calls between Flynn and Kislyak were little more than a pretext to hide the Obama's spy campaign against Trump from the newly elected president's team, and then they went after Flynn and imprisoned him. The newly declassified portions of the January 5th Rice email confirm that the targeting of Flynn was coordinated within the inner sanctum of the White House, and that both Obama and Biden were deeply involved to go take a man out. Documents who didn't do anything. Documents previously released and declassified showed that the FBI never possessed any evidence that Flynn was a secret Russian agent or that he had broken any laws. An FBI electronic communication closing the agency's investigation was also dated. It said no derogatory information about Flynn. The DOJ recently determined that an ambush interview of Flynn, which later formed the foundation of Robert Mueller's single charge against Flynn, had no legal basis at all, but they needed a scalp. Contemporaneous handwritten notes from the FBI's top counterintelligence official at the time shows the FBI's goal in targeting Flynn was to prosecute him or to get him fired. Now, the DOJ is currently in the process of dismissing all charges against Flynn, citing corruption, and the emails are available. And so let's see where those were downloaded, and then we'll get that opened up because that is good. All right, so let's queue this up. Your download has started, but who knows if we'll... All right, here we go. And we're back. So here's the email. From Susan Rice to Susan Rice. She says, uh-oh, we did something bad, so I better write this letter to make sure nobody thinks I did this bad. Says Susan Rice to Susan Rice, CC'd from Susan Rice. This one's Curtis Reed, not Susan Rice. So Curtis also got CC'd on it, whoever Curtis is. Emails redacted. Now, note to file, top secret. Nobody can read this. It's for my own information. Classification, top secret, from Susan Rice. She says, on January 5th, following a briefing by intelligence community leadership, lying hack insurrectionists and coosters, on Russian hacking during the 2016 election, Obama had a brief follow-on conversation with the FBI Director Jim Comey and Deputy Attorney General Yates in the office. VP Biden and I were also present. Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by the intelligence and law enforcement communities by the book. Which means we're about to do a bunch of things illegal. So just make sure your files are papered. The president stressed that he is not asking about initiating or instructing anything from a law enforcement perspective, okay? I'm not telling you guys to prosecute or do anything, just to be ultra clear. Like, this is not me saying this. But you're going to do it, right? He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as it normally would by the book, okay? This is all just a pre-setup of an incoming fraud. Just to be clear, we're doing everything right. Now, from a national security perspective, however, President Obama said he wants to be sure that as we engage with the incoming team, we're mindful to ascertain if there's any information or any reason that we cannot share information fully as it relates to Russia. Now, Comey also affirmed that he is proceeding by the book as it relates to law enforcement. From a national security perspective, Comey said he does have some concerns that incoming NSA Flynn is speaking frequently with Kislyak. Oh, no. And it's probably the Ukrainians who were like tipping him off, sending that back over to Comey. Pure speculation, but they already seeded the other bad information. Comey said that it could be an issue as it relates to sharing sensitive information. Then Obama said, oh, so you're saying that we should not pass sensitive information? Comey said, potentially. I don't think that he sent any classified information thus far, but the level of communication is unusual. The president asked Comey to inform him if anything changes in the next few weeks that would affect how we shared classified info. Comey said he would. Copy Obama presidential record from Susan Rice, because she knows, man, something went down there. They're like, all right, just make sure it's by the book, and then go frame a man. Sound good? Yep, we'll frame him by the book. We do it a lot at the FBI, so no problem. We got it, Obama. We'll see you there. Now, here was some more over from Undead Foya. Great person to follow, and this is getting a lot more attention. He found this back out in April, but he said new details have emerged that the memo that was originally created by Russian intelligence was sent to the CIA by the Dutch, who had infiltrated Russian groups. Wow. Now, according to sources familiar with the matter, the memo about the highly classified intelligence memo that are relating to plans by Hillary to try to tie this to Russia. Okay, so this is connecting us back to that original Fox News story that foreign intelligence knew about it, and this is giving us some background on where it came from. Saying Hillary tried to tie Trump to Russia, and they knew that. Sleuth previously reported this. The memo was originally created by Russian intelligence and forwarded to the CIA by the Dutch. So the Russians, as we suspected, knew about it. They knew that the FBI was going to have Hillary try to use them to blame the Russians for something. They know they're going to blame us. Yeah, we would see them doing it because they probably know who Michael Steele was. Oh, he's shopping. Oh, he's going to work with Hillary now. They probably had eyes on him, just following him around. According to sources familiar with the matter, the memo is based on an email sent in March 2016 from Jennifer Palmieri, senior official to Clinton, to this guy called Leonard, another Democrat operative with ties to the party's leadership employed by George Soros's Open Society Foundation. He's everywhere. This email, sources claim, outlined a strategic plan that included leveraging the FBI to amplify allegations of Russian collusions against Trump. Okay, so Hillary is the one who is manipulating the elections, not the Russians. And the Russians know about it. Weeks before the Russians actually hacked the DNC, allegedly. The latest report builds on Sleuth's News earlier reporting and adds to 2023 reporting by the New York Times, which took note of the special counsel inquiries relating to Bernardo. The Times report also suggested, without evidence, that U.S. officials viewed the intelligence memo as Russian disinfo and offered no explanation for why the Russians would have moved to cut off Dutch access if the memos were in fact disinfo. Okay, so the Russians, once they knew that the Dutch had it, they said, oh crap, we're going to cut that off. And if it was fake, why would they cut that off? For Special Counsel Durham's part, he found no evidence of any attempt by the FBI to vet the intelligence. Now, he's saying awareness by the Crossfire Hurricane investigators. The office located no evidence that in conducting the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, the FBI considered whether and how the Clinton plan intelligence, like it's the Clinton plan, has a name, might impact the investigation. So like you're looking into Trump based on Russian collusion. Have you considered how Hillary has seeded that to you idiots? No, we haven't, because it's what they wanted. No FBI personnel who were interviewed even recalled Crossfire Hurricane personnel taking any action to vet the Clinton plan intelligence, because it would have been damning to their candidate. For example, Brian Otten stated that he could not recall anything that the FBI did to analyze or otherwise consider the Clinton plan, stating that it was just one data point. Now, as previously noted, Bernardo is allegedly tied to the Renteria memo involving another agreement which came from Debbie Wasserman Schultz to a Hillary person, Bernardo, which outlined an alleged conversation between Loretta Lynch, a staffer called Renteria, where Lynch agreed not to let the investigation into Clinton's email server go too far. Yeah, and then she met with Bill on the tarmac in Phoenix. Jennifer Palmieri was previously known to be tied to an email released by WikiLeaks, which was the Swift boat plan, further buttressing the core elements of the alleged Russian intelligence memos. So this one came out from J. Palmieri, so Jennifer Palmieri at HillaryClinton.com, Joel at GPG.com too, and it's also copying John Podesta. Gee, thanks, Joel. We thought we could half A it. Let's discuss. Sent from my iPhone. Here's another one. I know you can't look past Bernie and March primaries, but who's in charge of the Trump Swift boat project? Oh, what's that? Needs to be ready, funded, and unleashed when we decide, but not a half-assed scramble. Now, according to other sources, Palmieri is the foreign policy advisor that's referenced in John Ratcliffe's declassified memo regarding the Clinton approval plan to tie Trump to Russian hackers. Now, as discussed above, here's other an analysis from the Durham report. It says, as discussed above, according to the declassified Clinton plan intelligence, on July 26, Clinton allegedly approved a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors, Jake Sullivan, went to Oxford, to tie Trump to Russia as a means of distracting the public from your own email server where you're the actual criminal. The office interviewed a number of individuals connected with the campaign as part of its investigation into Clinton plan intelligence. One foreign policy advisor, called Number One, stated that she did not specifically remember proposing a plan to Clinton to try to stir up a scandal. I don't remember that. Foreign Policy Advisor 1 stated, though, however, that it was possible that she had proposed ideas on these topics to the campaign leadership, who may have approved those ideas. So I didn't specifically propose it, but it's possible I could have said something like that. Now, she also recalled conversations with others in the campaign expressing their genuine concerns that the DNC hack was a threat to the electoral system and that Trump and his advisors appeared to have troubling ties to Russia. Foreign Policy 1 said it was also possible someone proposed an idea of seeking to distract attention from Hillary's emails, but she did not recall the FBI coming up in any campaign conversations that she had. So we know what they were doing. They know what they were doing. The FBI knew what they were doing, and they were okay with it because they wanted Hillary to win. The revelation adds a layer of complexity to all of this. The CIA got multiple reports from the Dutch. The CIA knew that the FBI was going to be taken over by Hillary, and they just sat there, including the memo, and it was briefed to top officials called Obama, Comey, and others. The reporting was left unpursued. At the same time, the FBI was full steam speeding ahead to go and get Trump. There's evidence that these cases are all fake. They just ignore that. La, la, la. Drive forward, prosecute Flynn, tap Trump's campaign. As reported by The Times, Judge Beryl Howell refused to allow the Durham team to pursue the matter or obtain any additional information. And yeah, the judge, Beryl Howell, is one of the worst, maybe, judges in the country for what she did to the J6ers and to, in many cases, she's been just horrific. We've covered a lot of her here. Now, sources indicate that declassification of this memo is considered highly unlikely. And so they'll continue to work on this. So great report, Undead FOIA. Make sure you're giving them a follow over on X and supporting their work, because that was some juicy details there for us. Now, we've also got Devin Nunes is out, and he was talking about this on with Maria. And here is what he had to say.
The investigations in 17 and 18 and 19 and 20, he never said that, oh, yeah, I had told Obama and these people about the Clinton, the Steele dossier and all of that.
That Clinton was coming out with a new story that Trump colluded with Russia.
Right. That happened in August of 16. He had a lot to say, but one of the things he didn't have to say was that he knew that this was a Clinton hoax. It wasn't until John Ratcliffe becomes the head of the DNI, he digs that up, he finds these handwritten notes where Brennan himself, and I'm sure if he wrote it down, he must have remembered. It's kind of an important point to remember that if one of the presidential candidates is cooking up a scheme, working with Russia and working with Russians to cook up this scheme, and then what you found out now from the report that we put out this week is also that the Russians knew about the scheme. So the only people that didn't know about the scheme were President Trump and the Republicans. You know, we're the only ones that didn't know about a lot of this, and now we're digging this up.
Yeah, and it's reprehensible what they did, and hopefully there's some repercussions for it. Here's what Trump said about this when he was on a sit-down interview with Miranda Devine, who is getting some amazing guests, and I think we'll be seeing her tomorrow.
What they've done is so bad.
Not for an interview at the event.
For this country. And it really started right at the 2016 election. And there's a difference when you know it and when you know it and it's all written down for
Prove
you.
it.
I mean, it's all there. It's right there. The orders, the memos, the whole thing is right there.
Right.
Were you surprised when you saw it all laid out?
I would have thought they maybe would have thrown it out. I don't know. They handed it. They say, put this in highly classified. It was in highly classified, in areas that normally you wouldn't get to, but I guess when you put it in there, it's a file, right? And they got to it, and it's unbelievable. When you read it, it's unbelievable. A real hoax, it's a real hoax. If they would devote their time to winning elections, or if they devote their time to greatness, making America great again, it would be because there's a certain genius to it, but it's also sick. I mean, they're sick. And you look at Hillary Clinton, you look at all of the terrible things with the Steele dossier, and you know it better. Nobody's covered it better than you, to be honest with you. I mean, you're sitting here so innocently talking to me like, I said, it's wonderful. You know the story better than I do. But it's incredible. It's all there now. It's in writing. And Tulsi's done a great job. There were some people that really wanted Tulsi. They thought she was going to do a fantastic job. And when you look, a lot of people, would not have found it. They wouldn't have found it to be politically correct to find it. Okay. It would be easier not to.
And she's tough.
And she's tough and she's smart. And she did. She went deep into the files and she found it. And, what it says is just terrible. And look, this was, an attempted coup. It was a failed coup. I mean, I get to be, here we are, him talking as president of the United States. So you almost say, how did it happen?
That's true. All of their attacks on him backfired bigly, and he's back in the White House, and they've lost everything. But that's ultimately what happens to cheaters. And now all of their cheating, all of their power, we are seeing it was built on a house of cards, and they made stuff up to try to brainwash and propagandize the entire country. There are still huge portions of the Democratic Party that think all of this is true, that Trump is illegitimate, that he was installed by the Russians, like lunatics who are still on, all these weird video and that, going nuts all over the internet. That's what they think. They've been brainwashed by these people, and now the truth is coming out. Hopefully they can wake up and see it for what it is, but we'll be here until they do. All right, so my friends, and let's continue on. We got some other good stories to get to. And thank you for understanding. Hopefully, it looks like that last segment was coming in loud and clear. So it's working now. That's good. So thank you for that. And thanks for all the warnings. Sorry I missed those at the time. All right, but we're back. All right, so we got another segment to talk about. And some good stuff happening here against the judge. Judge Boasberg getting hit with a complaint. This one coming officially from Pam Bondi, the DOJ Attorney General. She posted this today, saying, today, at my direction, the DOJ filed a misconduct complaint that we're going to read against U.S. District Judge Chief James Boasberg. He's in Washington, D.C., right around the corner, for making improper public comments about President Trump and his administration. Now, these comments have undermined the integrity of the judiciary, and we will not stand for that, says Pam Bondi. And we read through this report that came over from Margot Cleveland because she got her hands, and if you may remember this when we covered it maybe a week ago. She says that at a dinner, Judge Boasberg came out, was talking to other judges basically about how to create a process and a plan to stop Trump in the courts, and that is completely unethical. So Bondi posted this, and we've actually got Chad Mizell, who is the person who I believe actually drafted the letter. He said this in response. Judge Boasberg's first tried to persuade Chief Justice Roberts and other federal judges that the Trump administration would not follow court orders, despite having no basis for his belief. Then he acted on his baseless belief again and again in litigation over which he was presiding. Boasberg violated the canons of code of conduct for the United States judges, including the requirement that he promote public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Today, at the direction of the Attorney General, DOJ filed a judicial misconduct complaint against him. Now, federal judges often complain about the decline of public trust in the judiciary. Well, if the judiciary simply ignores improper conduct like Judge Boasberg's, it's going to have itself to blame when the public stops trusting it. Yeah, and this is basically the court's strongest power is their credibility and the public's belief that they're legitimate. That's why a judge's words have weight. It's the judge. Judge decided. It's impartial. It's not the government. It's the judge. He said. So we just defer to that. But if the judges become biased, the whole system fails because they really have no other power. They don't have the power of the purse like Congress does. They don't have any really enforcement powers. So when people stop believing in them, things go bad. And that goes for the entire justice system, which is not good, which is why we have so many concerns about the DOJ and FBI. But Boasberg violated these rules. Federal judges must do better. And here is what the actual complaint looks like against Chief Judge Boasberg, former Chief Judge out of D.C. To Judge Boasberg and his boss, more specifically, the Chief Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. So we're going upstairs to talk to your boss. Now, pursuant to U.S. Code and the rules for judicial conduct, at the direction of the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, we respectfully submit this complaint to you, Court of Appeals, alleging misconduct by the Chief Judge of D.C., James Boasberg, he's still the chief, for making improper public comments against Trump. To the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court and other federal judges that have undermined the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. On March 11th, Boasberg attended a session of the Judicial Conference of the United States, which exists to discuss administrative matters. We got budgets, securities, facilities, basic administrative functions, okay? You're not getting into Trump's a tyrant stuff. While there, Boasberg attempted to improperly influence Chief Justice Roberts and roughly 24 other federal judges by straying from the traditional topics to express his belief that the Trump administration would disregard the rulings of the federal courts, which they never did or even intimated that they would do. In fact, the opposite. The judge wanted them to turn the airplanes around in the middle of the sky. That was not going to happen. But every other opportunity, Trump, many times, people have been demanding, just ignore the judges, just ignore the judges, tell them to get bent, make them do something about it. Never even come close to that. And trigger a constitutional crisis. Although, in other words, they will say that he did, like when he didn't bring Kilmar back or something, right? First, and Kilmar's a whole separate case because the DOJ basically botched that case. But the point is, Well, there's a lot of points to make, but we got more to read here, so let's do that. And trigger a constitutional crisis. And although his comments would be inappropriate, even if they had some basis, they were even worse because Boasberg had no basis to make those claims. The Trump administration has always complied with all court orders, and nor did Judge Boasberg identify any purported violations of the court orders to justify his unprecedented predictions. Now, the judge might say that he ordered Trump to turn the people around, but my prior point was that Trump has constitutional powers. And so if a judge is saying you can't do your job and you can do your job, you can do that thing. And even the Supreme Court said that Boasberg couldn't order Trump to do the thing that he did. Within days of those statements, Boasberg began acting on his preconceived belief that the Trump administration would not follow orders. First, although he lacked the authority to do so, he issued a TRO preventing the government from removing violent Tren de Aragua terrorists out of our country. The Supreme Court summarily vacated that because he was wrong. Now, throughout the proceedings, Boasberg rushed the government through complex litigation, sometimes giving the Trump administration less than 48 hours to respond, and threatening criminal contempt and the appointment of an outside prosecutor. Boasberg went nuts. I don't think he liked people talking about his liberal wife or whatever, against senior Trump administration officials for failing to comply with an order that had already been vacated. Now, taken together, Boasberg's words and deeds violate the code of conduct for these judges, and they erode public confidence in judicial neutrality, and they warrant a formal investigation under Rule 11, Judge Srinivasan. Here are the different rules, and we've had a lot of bad judges here over our time recently. But here, Canon 1, a judge should uphold the integrity and the independence of the judiciary. A judge should act at all times in a manner that promotes public confidence in the integrity and the impartiality of the judiciary. And Canon 3A6, a judge should not make a public comment on the merits of a matter pending or impending in any court. That's not what happened with Judge James Boasberg Jeb. The Judicial Conference is the policy-making body of the courts. It operates strictly as an administrative body, focusing on policy matters related to operations, doesn't handle substantive issues or specific cases. Its proceedings are designed to maintain the judiciary's institutional integrity, which is all that matters, by addressing only systemic administrative concerns that affect everybody, carefully avoiding discussions that could compromise judicial neutrality or create the appearance of bias towards particular litigants. Common topics of discussion at these meetings include court security, budget, administration facilities, and issues regarding probation and pretrial services. And so on March 11th, 2025, at one of the conference's semi-annual meetings, Judge Boasberg said, you know what, I'm going to go. And he did. And he disregarded its history, tradition, and purpose to push a wholly unsolicited discussion about concerns that the administration would disregard rulings of federal courts, leading to a constitutional crisis. By singling out a sitting president who was and remains a party to dozens of active cases, Boasberg attempted to transform a routine housekeeping agenda into a forum to make a point in front of all of the other federal judges. This guy's a piece of work, of his preconceived belief that the Trump administration would violate court orders, okay? Boasberg walked up. No, it was not time to grab the mic. He should not have grabbed the mic, but he did, and he needed a point to make because he's so mad at Trump and he's so invested in taking him out. So he shows up at this meeting, takes the mic, gets up there, screams out to all the other judges, Trump is going to violate our orders. And Roberts, of course, responded and said, you're not supposed to talk, stop it. Boasberg's actions not only breached his duties, but they also defied reality and the law. First, the Trump administration has complied with every court order, including the unlawful orders that the appellate courts have subsequently stayed or reversed. And second, federal courts must begin from a presumption of regularity, which they have all thrown out, which is why they've issued injunction after injunction after injunction. The settled doctrine that executive officials have properly discharged their official duties absent clear evidence otherwise. Now, by predicting noncompliance, Boasberg turned that presumption on its head. It's supposed to be a presumption that they'll follow the rules. It's your government. You're on the same team. But it contradicts both the evidence from Trump of past compliance and governing law. These comments to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and other federal judges in a public setting undermine the integrity and the impartiality of the judiciary in violation of judicial canons. And so by expressing his view, Judge Boasberg, that a particular litigant, Trump, would violate court orders, Boasberg degraded public confidence in the integrity of the judiciary. Yeah, he's definitely done that. Litigants expect that every judge will decide matters based on facts and the law before them, not on preconceived notions that government officials will violate the law. And worse, Boasberg's comments were also directed at the chief judge and approximately 24 other federal judges to try to persuade them to adopt his view and to try to poison the well. These are the same judges that are going to hear other cases. And because the Chief Justice would review Boasberg's decisions, his remarks were especially problematic as he attempted to prejudice the very court that would scrutinize his decisions, as it ultimately did, saying that he was unlawful. What he did in order to Trump was actually illegal. Supreme Court said you can't do that and reversed it. In a recent interview, University of California, Berkeley law professor John Yoo criticized Boasberg, saying that was an inappropriate setting to try to get the Chief Justice to give his opinion on whether there's a constitutional crisis right now. In essence, he's like trying to like bro it up. You know, don't you understand? He's like, Robert's like, oh no, make some snide comment about it. And that's the game, to try to get the Chief Justice to give his opinion on whether there's a constitutional crisis between the courts and the presidency. And every judge in that room was looking directly to Roberts just for any indication. Did he make any micro facial expressions or what did he do? Oh, like, oh yeah, like, oh, I know, Trump's an insurrect tyrant. Or was he, was he poker face? In essence, Boasberg was trying to entrap the Chief Justice to get him on the record and join him to almost approve what he's doing to spark this fight. This attempt to persuade other judges and other officials should be discounted in light of their alleged propensity to violate court orders and undermining the integrity of the judiciary. And it's not mere conjecture to say that Boasberg's comments eroded public confidence. It's already happened. His remarks have been widely publicized and criticized, especially here, and this is precisely why the canons prescribe this type of stuff. Now, Boasberg's ensuing judicial actions over the next 5 weeks followed the very script he had sketched at the conference. On March 15th, 2025, just 4 days after he made his comments, he granted a temporary restraining order against Trump in the JGG case, illegal alien gangbangers, halting the removal of the Tren de Aragua terrorists who were on the airplane within hours of the complaint being filed, and the United States didn't even have a chance to appear, didn't even have a minute to respond. That evening, he expanded relief. He made a nationwide class action of Tren de Aragua gangbangers, cementing his restraints before the government could even file a brief. Then he convened an emergency compliance hearing before the government's motion to vacate was even due, openly suggesting that non-compliance he had predicted just 6 days earlier had occurred. I knew you were going to violate the law. That's why I set it up, so you could fail. Over the next 48 hours, he ordered declarations detailing flight paths, passenger counts. I want information. I want to know what they had in first class, what was the breakfast and the lunch. Hopefully it was good. Deadlines so compressed that the DOJ twice sought relief and was rebuffed by him. He's, get out of here. Says, I'm in charge. This departure from standard practice confirms, or at least gives the impression, that his conference prediction hardened into judicial action that was driven by his agenda and not the facts and the law. On April 7th, the Supreme Court vacated Judge Boasberg's class-wide TRO, confirming that Boasberg lacked the authority to issue it, and underscoring that they rushed to do this, and in doing so, sacrificed basic legal principles. Now, undeterred by the Supreme Court's reversal, Boasberg still proceeded to issue a 46-page show cause opinion threatening criminal contempt and appointing an outside prosecutor. We saw all that. Since then, the D.C. Circuit has also recognized Boasberg's errors, staying his decisions twice. Now, these facts, read together, show that Boasberg's actions have harmed the integrity and the public confidence in the integrity of the judiciary. His comments on March 11th also appear to have been improperly implemented from the bench, and having assumed Trump would defy court orders, then Boasberg came out, threatened sanctions against him, all of it on a false premise. He was wrong. The Supreme Court said that. Such conduct violates the litigant's trust in an impartial judiciary, and you have to safeguard the integrity of the courts. Now, the DOJ respectfully requests that the Chief Judge Boasberg take the following actions. Here's what he should do since he's been a bad judge. Docket and refer this complaint to a special investigative committee under the rules, as an inquiry is essential to determine whether Boasberg's conduct constitutes conduct prejudicial to the effective and expeditious administration of the business of the court. So open him up for an investigation. 2, order interim corrective measures during the investigation, including reassignment of the Trump cases to another judge to prevent further erosion of public confidence, so strip his cases from him that involved the Trump administration, and upon substantiation, impose appropriate disciplinary action, including a public reprimand. Oh, judges hate that. And referral to the Judicial Conference for consideration of impeachment-related recommendations. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Reprimand is like, great. You know, have reprimands for breakfast. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Whatever. But this is what we want, impeachment recommendations and actual impeachment. Even if he's not removed, that's fine. An independent judiciary, he'll hate being impeached by the House. An independent judiciary depends on both the actual and apparent impartiality. Boasberg publicly forecasted his baseless predictions of presidential lawlessness, which never happened, then issued erroneous rulings based on that preconceived notion, which the Supreme Court had to vacate. Now, this sequence meets at a minimum the classic definition of failure to promote public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Swift, visible action will reinforce that our courts mean something. Signed by Chad Mizell, Chief of Staff for Pam Bondi. So we've been waiting for that one, and we're happy to see it come down. Senators were also opining on this. Tom Cotton said, Judge Boasberg tried to stop an overseas military flight filled with depraved, criminal, illegal aliens. He's acting more like a resistance activist than a judge. It's true. Bondi is right to ensure that he's not undermining the integrity of the judiciary. And Senator Eric Schmitt has also come down on Boasberg. He says, this rogue judge, Boasberg, saying he may discipline the DOJ for not turning the planes around from El Salvador, even though they were full of terrorists. Ridiculous. Boasberg was just exposed for being biased against Trump last week anyways, and now Senator Eric Schmitt says he's got new receipts that show just how partisan Boasberg is. Here is the article. Obviously, the Reuters was saying he's going to punish Trump. Now, this is a long-running pattern. Margot Cleveland and Senator Eric Schmitt are sharing that report. According to the memo, he was at a conference and he was communicating improperly with other judges. And it's not appropriate to do that. And so during his confirmation hearing, Eric Schmitt said, Boasberg told the Judiciary Committee that judges should not work from a desired outcome in assessing the law and the facts, and a judge should fairly and impartially uphold the law. So why didn't he do that, is what Senator Eric Schmitt is implying. Some have suggested that his actions were a violation of the code of conduct, and now he encourages a judicial misconduct complaint. That was yesterday, and boom, that dropped today. So lots of people weighing in on it, and President Trump also fired someone else from the DOJ. We already knew this, but now you can see it in email. Kyle Cheney grabbed this one. He writes for Politico, says, this was from Desiree, to Desiree. And remember, Desiree was going to be the new U.S. attorney in New Jersey after Alina Abba was not renewed. Desiree got fired. And now Trump's lawyers are responding to her because Desiree said, I'm going to show up and take the job. And so they sent this letter to her. And now this was filed today in a case. Desiree, you may not lawfully serve as the United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey. This is coming from Saurabh Sharma, Special Assistant to the President. The District Court for the District of New Jersey lacked authority to appoint you under U.S. Code because Alina Abba resigned as the U.S. Attorney on July 24th, which was before her appointment expired under the law, which was at the end of July 25th. Regardless, even if the District Court had such authority, the President of the United States hereby removes you from the office pursuant to his authority and the Constitution. On July 24th, the Attorney General appointed Alina Abba the first Assistant U.S. Attorney pursuant to her authority under the law, and so therefore Alina is thus now acting U.S. Attorney pursuant to other provisions of the law. So, Boasberg's getting hit by the DOJ. DOJ's firing people and taking the lead on who these U.S. attorneys will be, not judge-picked U.S. attorneys, presidential-picked U.S. attorneys as his prerogative. But here is what Fox News was reporting. Our friend Amuse and Carly Bonney clipped this for us. on their report.
It's John Roberts. It reads, while there, Judge Boasberg attempted to improperly influence Chief Justice Roberts and roughly 24 other federal judges by straying from the traditional topics to express his belief that the Trump administration would, quote, disregard rulings of federal courts and trigger a, quote, constitutional crisis. Yeah. Attorney General Pam Bondi posting on social media, these comments have undermined the integrity of the judiciary, and we will not stand for that. Now, this is the second time the AG, Bondi, and the DOJ have gone after district court judges. Earlier this year, DOJ filed a complaint against another federal judge for alleged misconduct in a case challenging the White House policy barring transgenders from serving in the military. We reached out to Judge Boasberg. No comment from the judge or the court this morning, but this complaint will go to one step higher on the Court of Appeals, the chief judge there.
All right, so this could be interesting because we might see Boasberg's response and a lot of stuff be publicly filed in response to this, may not. But we could, and that could be interesting. And we're happy to see the DOJ take some action on this. We know Congress won't. They're just sitting around allowing it to happen. I don't even know what they're doing, but certainly not confirming Trump's appointees. But that is the latest. So Boasberg gets hit with a complaint from Pam Bondi. It was a good one. The guy, we know exactly what he was doing. And you've had people at this, like in your office meetings, like everybody's unhappy about something and the meeting's about something else, and that one person stands up and he's like, you know, while we're all here, I just wanted to make sure that we had the microwave policy cleared up. And everybody's like, we already solved that 3 weeks ago. Why are you talking about that? Don't talk about the microwave policy, whatever. And then everybody has to fight over it. You're like, shut up. It's not the right time for this. You're not supposed to say that stuff. And that's what this was. And Boasberg stood up to complain about, dirty microwaves or whatever, which are disgusting. So good stuff happening here. We'll keep our eye on this one. Thanks for joining as we do. All right, we got one more update, my friends, and then we'll hear from you and see what you have to say about all of this and more. Democrats are in big trouble. We see a bunch of different senators now coming out with documents that say that they live somewhere else where they don't live, which is not their primary residence. And the question, of course, is why? Because that's fraud for anybody else. Why can senators get away with it and nobody seems to care? Trump posted this a few days ago, and we see more now because it's about Schiff's fake mortgage. He said he lived primarily in Maryland as a Maryland man, even though he was a representative and a senator from California. So how is his primary residence in Maryland? It's not. But he's not alone. Now we've got this pattern that is emerging because Kerry Lake War Room shared this one of an Arizona senator called Ruben Gallego. And he's also now facing some allegations about mortgage fraud. Why can't these people just say it's a second house? I don't know what's so complicated about that, but they're cheaters. Now, here is more background on this story, and there's been a lot of digging on this. So with Adam Schiff under scrutiny, now Gallego is coming into this as well, and this dude wants to run for president. With Trump and others applying new scrutiny, we're now seeing a sustained pattern. Trump posted this on True Social, said Adam Schiffy is in big trouble. He falsified loan documents. He once said my son would go to prison on a scam that Schiff, along with others, illegally manufactured in order to stage an actual coup. Thank you, Mr. President, for saying that. My son did nothing wrong, knew nothing about the fictional story. It was an American tragedy. Now Schiffy should pay the price of prison for a real crime, not one made up by corrupt accusers. Now, in another post, Trump posted this. This is the actual document. Schiff is a thief. He should be prosecuted, said President Trump, just like they tried to prosecute me and everyone else. The only difference is we were totally innocent. It was all a giant hoax. Now, here's the actual affidavit. You see right there with pencil necks, disgusting signature, sloppy, just like his face in life. And he posted this in an affidavit, made pursuant to the law. The undersigned makes this oath in due form of law and declares under penalties of perjury. The following is true. That we are the original mortgagers of the deed of trust recorded at this property in Maryland, and that the mortgage property is our principal residence. Dun, 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 busted. The amount of the unpaid principal, $556,000, nice spot back in 2011. Yeah, real nice spot now. Now $500,000 after Joe Biden's 4 years gets you like, I think you can get like a shack at that, like at Lowe's. You can get like a couple shacks probably and put those together. But Adam and Eve Schiff, I'm sure they just love that. And they probably go to parties like, oh, Adam and Eve are here. Like, oh, I know, it's so good to be here. Ridiculous. But that is what Trump said. And now Carrie Lake is on to Gallego. And so there's more to this story. They say Fox News host Laura Ingraham also revealed that a criminal referral was sent over to the DOJ by Bill Pulte, who runs the Federal Housing Finance Agency. And it details this crime. Now, there's more to this because Ruben Gallego is also getting caught up. Now, the referral alleges that Schiff has in multiple instances falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms. Remember, they charged Trump with 34 felonies for mislabeling a payment to Michael Cohen. Okay, like legal expenses, they said it wasn't, don't really know what it should have been. But paying his lawyer, they said was labeled wrong. Okay, so it's falsifying and committing fraud on business records. That's what and it was a misdemeanor, and they turned it into a felony so that they could keep the statute of limitations going by saying it was in furtherance of another crime, which was to steal an election. Like, it was insane. So they created that whole thing against him. And if Trump paid his lawyer money for doing legal work. They charged him with 34 felonies for that. 34, one for every check. Not every check. Check, ledger. Okay, so when you write the check, someone marks it down in a spreadsheet. And then when you reconcile it, I think that's what it was, check, ledger, and maybe like receipt, like transmission, crime. He did that multiple times throughout the year, all of it, 34 felonies. So how do you not charge Schiff with one for every single time he refinanced or bought a separate piece of property that say primary residence on them? The situation should seem familiar to Arizonans. After another scandal emerged with the group Veterans for Arizona, they asked Doug Collins why allegations against Ruben Gallego in Arizona have not been investigated. Veterans for Arizona asked this. They wrote in this post, why hasn't Ruben Gallego been investigated for improperly and fraudulently obtaining VA loans? You know, the VA rules apply to the rest of us, so why not him? They posted this, saying in August, Gallego obtained a VA-backed mortgage for a home near Capitol Hill in Washington, declaring it as his principal residence in the loan documents. This was a condition to qualify for the VA loan, which offers favorable terms like lower interest rates and no down payment for veterans. However, Gallego and his wife, Sydney, also maintained a home in Phoenix, which is where he's a senator, in Arizona, which they claimed as their primary residence for a homeowner rebate that lowers tax burdens for Arizona residents. That's weird. How can you have two primary residences in two different states? Huh. Additionally, in September, they refinanced their Phoenix home, signing a deed of trust agreeing to make it their primary residence for 1 year, overlapping with the DC loan and that timeline. So why is that? Yeah, because they want better rates, and so they're committing mortgage fraud. Now, the issue stems from the VA's requirement that the borrower must intend to occupy the property as their primary residence within 60 days and maintain it as such for at least 1 year. The VA allows flexibility for unusual circumstances if discussed with the appropriate office, but Gallego's campaign declined to provide documentation showing when the discussions occurred. The loan officer stated he was aware of Gallego's residency and that the VA guidelines permitted the approval, and the loan went through the quality control check, so he's good for us. Gallego's campaign asserts that his primary residence is in Arizona, and the VA loan was a legitimate benefit because he was in the Marines. They argued that as a congressman, he needs to maintain both residences. Okay, nobody disagrees with that. And Arizona due to his job, and the lender was fully informed. No formal allegations of fraud have been filed by the VA. No, of course, we're asking for an investigation. And other authorities, and the VA has stated its policies apply equally to all veterans with no exceptions based on occupation. You mean, like all veterans can lie and commit mortgage fraud and say that it's a primary residence when it's not? So that looks like it was an AI summary from something, but it's obviously, crafting that from reports, and here is more of that. In 2023, the Arizona Daily Star, so in other words, the veterans got their hands on this over a month ago. In 2023, the Arizona Daily Independent reported that Gallego, who was a representative back then, had purchased a house in D.C., home near the Capitol, and subsequently claimed that it was his primary residence on documents for a VA loan, while the then congressman and his wife said Phoenix was also primary. Now, then loan documents obtained by Politico confirmed that Gallego's campaign officially kept up the narrative that his primary residence is in Arizona, while he claimed D.C. The National Republican Senate Committee also raised concerns at the time that Gallego signed loan documents making D.C. his primary residence, while at the same time taking advantage of Arizona breaks. And other veterans are not doing this or getting those benefits. So who's paying for that, right? He's taking from somebody else who does have a primary residence and does need that money. This raises questions about whether Gallego committed fraud. Yeah. As election legal law expert told the Arizona Daily Independent, legally, Gallego doesn't have to live in his district to serve in Congress. This isn't like legislative offices or most county offices. His campaign does have to consider the optics of this, which are terrible. If you live in Arizona and you're getting benefits on both ends, you're getting tax benefits in Arizona and you're ripping off other veterans in D.C., it's reprehensible. But they're Democrats. That's what they do, is they just steal people's money and grift off the country. And even Tish is now out. So Tishy Lay Tish, she's going crazy now. She's under investigation for her own mortgage fraud. Remember, she had the place in Virginia, I think, that said, she said it was her primary residence, and she also had the multiplex property where she said there were 4 units when there were really 5 units, because 4 units get lower, better qualify for more things, and a 5 unit is outside of it, so she kind of faked everything, and total fraudster. So now she's acting out, and she wants to prosecute Trump. She wants to go after Trump because she knows she's in the DOJ's eyes.
Thank you, Attorney General Bonta. The SNAP program is a critical lifeline for tens of millions of Americans throughout our country, and specifically 2.9 New Yorkers. Every day, SNAP benefits make it possible for working families to afford to put food on the table.
All right, so she's going to go on her little spiel there, but she's looking rough, man. She looks very nervous, and her face is still spasming as usual. But here is what Ducey was reporting in recent days, it looks like.
The president, a lot of very interesting.
This might be an old clip. Let's see.
Oust him.
Yeah, I think it's an old clip. All right, so that's Peter Ducey and Trump saying Shifty is in trouble, and we've got Ruben Gallego also under scrutiny, and criminal referrals have gone over to the DOJ. Veterans are complaining about it, and hopefully they didn't commit any crimes. But if they did, no one's above the law. All right, so my beautiful friends, what an amazing day it has been, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for navigating our technical difficulties, and thank you for forgetting the first 45 to 50 minutes of this entire show. Thank you. Just deleted. Deleted. And now, let's hear from you. Thank you for everybody for understanding and for helping make me aware that can't hear anything. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Thank you for sending in all these super chats. Oh, man, I feel like such a loser. All right, thank you, my friends, for sending these in. And Donna, thank you for clipping for us today. Look what we've got over here. I am here to wish you a happy Tuesday. It is a happy Tuesday. In spite of only 1585 kbps going up. I'm gonna try to fix that. I've got an idea for that. So I brought a backup plan. I just don't have it right now. So we're gonna have a backup plan for tomorrow. I'm gonna figure it out tonight. It is a happy Tuesday. It is a happy Tuesday. Yeah. All hail Tarpon Springs tyrants. Thank you. All hail Tarpon Springs. We're gonna do an after party, so stick around. New Membo, stick around. We're gonna hopefully be able to chat and debrief a little bit. Tarpon Springs, Nazis above the law. Man, you got 2 Tarpon Springs here? You guys bros? Come on, watchers, hit that like button. Thank you for that. Tarpon Springs, Nazis above the law. 23 months as a member. Really glad to have you here. I don't think you're like a Nazi, but yeah, good to have you here. Hey, Buc-ee's is Rome. For people who thought the Democrats were going to stop censoring you, the Republicans are too feckless to stop them. Big tech censorship. The Senate campaign arm warns Apple iOS update could remove $500 million in lost revenue. Depress, get out the vote messaging. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I'm sure that's true. Yeah, because Apple has some privacy stuff and the campaigns don't want that. Interesting. So that's an interesting article over from going on over there on Breitbart. Thank you for that one. All right, we got this one from Trino Galaxy. What's up, Trino Galaxy? Good evening, Rob. Could we convince you to look into the Steam payment processor issue going on right now due to some feminist activists? Well, you know how much we love ripping on feminist activists, so I don't know if you have to convince us too hard on that. If it's an interesting story, we'll definitely cover it. Is there a legal component to it? Is there a lawsuit or somebody being sued or going to prison? Or is there like a legal angle, or is it just some whacked out feminist activist? Because we do, like, they're going crazy over this American Eagle thing too. They went crazy over the tea, all those ugly chicks all over the internet now. Their pictures and their DMs. Did you see those ugly ladies got all their DMs leaked too? Ugh, gross. Hey, what's up? Richard the Sinner. There's no sound, Rob. Says JM King. Turn on the audio, Robert. Philip Butler. No sound, you're muted. No sound, check your mic. Thank you for that. All right, so thank you, everybody. We got Talks Too Much in the house. Thank you, Talks Too Much. Philip Butler, thank you for the warning. Real Drew Morgan, thank you, my man. No sound, Robert, from Mark Burton. Thank you for. I couldn't see the screen. I got one laptop, so I just couldn't see the screen. No sound, Robert, from Mark Burton. What's up, Daryl? Sound is muted. Curtis Bartle, no sound. Jacob Gestiner, 3 months as a member. No sound. Little Rock, 16 months as a member. No sound. Thank you, guys, and thanks for being here for so long. Hopefully you don't cancel your membership. Benny Boy, what's up? No audio, Boomer. No sound. Turn on your mic, idiot. I know. Mom had to call me. Oh, gosh. Hey, Abe, what's here? What's going on, Abe? There is no sound. Happy new baby to us. Thank you for that, Abe. Now, we got a lot of super chats. This is a good way to get super chats, I guess. It's just to turn off the sound and have a terrible stream. You know, what's up? Chat with me. No sound, Rob. And you look like a doofus, too, while you're doing this stream. Can't hear, says Chris Owens. No sound, no audio. This is from Christina Butler. What's up, Chris Owens? 13 months as a member with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 earlobes right on the screen. Annie Howland, what's up? No audio. Pinochet's helicopter tour. Rob, your mic is off. Blink twice if the CIA has you hostage and you need me to send help. I am in D.C. I am in D.C., so you never know. Hey, Philip Butler, sometimes I feel like he doesn't listen to us. No, I missed you for about 45 minutes. I thought everything was fine. I was like, we're good. Yeah. Hey, Roger Needham. You should check your chat more often. I normally do. Normally when I've got multiple screens and we're at home, I normally do. Many times you wait until the end to read the comments that people paid for, but don't remember the context because you wait until the end. Now you have 1/2 an hour of silence. Well, yeah, so that's another strategy. Like, I could take some comments in between the segments, but a lot of people don't like the comments. So a lot of people leave for the comments. Like, when the comments come up, the viewers go down. Everybody bails. So if I did that after every segment, I think I'd have a lot of people who are unhappy with hearing, you know, a handful of comments before going into the next section. But I'm open to changing my mind on that. I'm just explaining that was the rationale for it, is to save them to the end because people, I think, just want to get the news and they don't, you know, some people don't, a sizable portion of people bail after the comments. So that's why. CFabs, hey, and Roger, thank you for the very nice dono and the suggestion. I appreciate that. What's up, CFabs? Tubes are clogged. No audio since the beginning, 30 minutes. Pinochet, it's okay, everyone. I was in the Army. I can read faces. This was our Reading Lips show. So I wanted to make sure you got at least 45 minutes to practice your lip reading skills. So hopefully you did it. You did a great job. We did it together. Pinochet, it's okay, everyone. I was in the Army. I can read faces. When Rob's camera lags and he scowls, it means we're totally screwed. Yeah, no sound, says Garden. Sorry, guys. I know. Hey, it's visually stunning show. Well, that's good. That's very good. Yeah, that's very good. W Couch, visually stunning, but you can't hear anything. Oilfield Mike, what's up, Oilfield Mike? Here's a little Snook in the house. Snook, Robert Snook. Hey, even in silence, I remained so you would get the views, friend. Man, that is a real friend right there. That is a true friend. Even some, you know, like my bro friends wouldn't do that. I'm out of here. Robert, thanks, brother. Thanks for the nice dono and for doing it. Hey, Object Class Keeter says, by the looks of it, when he switched, it muted. We should all log out for a minute, then he'll notice, says Benny Boy. My lady Amy says, the sound on videos, but no sound for you. We love you, Rob, but LOL, you will be razzed. I deserve every bit of it. I deserve every bit of it, yeah. That's my fault. I pulled it on the screen. You guys see it like on my bar. I can like it was like in the bar. You can see that right when I talk, right there. Boom. So like that's what I was seeing, but you were not getting it, and now we know. All right. So thank you for that. We love you. I deserve to be razzed. I'm gonna razz myself until tomorrow. Until we get another one out, I'm going to be not happy with myself. Joy Stee, what's up? 12 months as a membo. I hear you now. Thank you, Joy Stee. Happy anniversary to us. Hey, what's up? Awesomeo. 23 months as a membo. High five to whomever called Mama G 40 minutes in. I know. Off label, sending in. Thanks for being here, Awesomeer. And shout out to Mama. This one came in. Add mic to scene with screen share. Add mic to scene with screen share. Off label. Thank you for the suggestion. Benny Boy, he's trolling us now. Joshua Reg says, as soon as you drop the frame, we can hear you. As soon as you pull it back up, you go mute. And that was very helpful because then I could see the settings. Thank you for that one. Yeah, really helpful. Hey, Mama Pillow, we love you anyway, Rob. We appreciate the effort. So we'll record. So it should have recorded. Like I think everything was recording on my end. So we'll upload that and I'll just we'll fix it. We'll fix it on the back end. Thanks for understanding. Uncle Bozy, Rob, Headroom. Headroom? I have a lot of it right now. Greer, what's up? The Can Lay is here. What's up, Greer? Michael6674 got gifted a membo. Olaf, the Russian metalhead, gifted a membo. Connor B. Grifton, Simply Rose, and Craig Power from the Can Lay. Thank you, the Can Lay, for being a membo and bringing in 5 more friends. We appreciate that. Hey, Edwin Viana. Hillary ran the same playbook against Tulsi in 2015, especially after Tulsi gained popularity against Kamala. That's interesting. Yeah, I sort of remember that. Yeah, and Tulsi was kind of like a Ron Paul person. She was like on that debate stage, but like not really. Like the Democrats really didn't believe her, kind of a thing, if I remember that right. Thank you, Edwin. Good comment. Hey, the Canlay. Greer here. Appreciate your hard work. Thank you, the Canlay. Sorry it wasn't up to standards today. NY, a stream that Rob has up shouldn't take more than a few MBSs. I think the network he is very old because it's hotel Wi-Fi, doesn't allow free ports to communicate with YouTube, etc. Yeah, no, the internet, this is an old building. Yeah, it's an old building. And it's the 5th floor, so I don't know where the hubs are, but yeah, I tested it before the show. It should have given us better performance than we got based on the speeds. And the performance that we're getting right now is crap, which is disappointing. NY, thank you for that. Mizzy M, I jumped in and out of the stream. Know it was great based on the subject, so I'll just catch it later. Thank you for that, Mizzy M. Sorry for the frustrations. Adesia, later, Gators. See you later, Adesia. The Rubos are here. Hey, what's up, the Rubos? Man, they're dropping a burner from Trump. All right, we'll save that one. Thank you, Rubos, for flagging that one. Schumer, Kane, Booker, pile up. We may come back on that one tomorrow. Doan, Jeb acts typical of someone with much to hide. Yeah, and he needs to make a point. He's trying to rally people to his cause, which is illegitimate. Felix De La Cruz, last time I visited at the Japanese zoo, I remember Tishy's transfer doc to the New York State Attorney General from the gorilla. Felix De La Cruz. Doan. She was there. She was at the zoo looking at the gorillas. Transfer the Attorney General from the gorilla exhibit. Because she was there observing the gorillas, is what you meant. Obviously. Doan. Gotta get these glitches ironed out for Whistleblower Wednesday, and hopefully you won't be out on some park bench in 104-degree heat index. Yeah, so my Uber driver, I was talking to him on the way. He's like, yeah, you came during an extreme heat wave warning. I'm like, perfect. I'm from Phoenix, so that's just what we do. Hey, Deborah Myers. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit warm. So I think we're going to go out early tomorrow morning, do a little walk, maybe do a little walk and talk in the morning. We'll see. But he said it's going to be hot tomorrow, and the humidity's not great. What's up? Hey, Deborah Meyer, 22 months as a member. Thank you, Deborah, for being here 22 months. You're amazing. Elena, a.k.a. Neely, says, OMG, blah, ha, 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 ha. Well, thank you, Elena, for that. I don't know what you're OMGing about. Probably the best show, the best live stream that's ever happened on the internet tonight, probably. Stacey Milliken, hey, I feel left out. Check your sound, Rob. I think it's working now. Also, I thank you to all of you who gave me the heads up when I joined late. I thought it was my earbud. Sorry, I know. It's like I've never done a live stream before. Felix de la Cruz, Democrats, no matter the ethnicity, are cheats, slave owners, child traffickers. They drink adrenochrome from children. Rhinos are in their lot too. Spirit cooking crazies. It's true. A lot of that's true. The Republicans who went on recess had better get to work with these appointments or they ain't got balls like walls. Yeah. No balls, walls. I remember that stuff. My friends, so nice of you to send that in. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for all the warnings. And sorry about that. We're going to be better about that next time. Hopefully figure out a better way to do this in the future. But let's say hello to some friends on X, and then we'll call it a night. Now, the schedule tomorrow is we'll probably do an early morning show. So like, I think noon my time, would be 9 back in Phoenix time. So probably like maybe noon Eastern is when we're thinking for a show tomorrow. And I'm going to figure out another internet solution, or I think I can combine 2 internets. I think I brought a tool to do that. So I will try to do that. But we're also going to have an after party. We're going to go over locals, YouTube members, stick around. I should be able to boot this thing back up. Don't know if we'll be able to talk, together, but we'll see. Oh man, the Twitter comments are great. You guys are great. Thank you for sending these in. The sound of silence. What a beautiful day. Gene Poole. Can't hear you. Sorry guys. All right, so that first segment, we're going to get re-uploaded. Do it over. Thank you for the comments. James Pepper, Drunk Pinata. You guys rock. Sorry about the goofiness on the stream. But my friends, let us leave it there on the day. And thank you again for joining us. Tomorrow, obviously, we're going to have that little technical problem figured out. And we should have the internet figured out too. So I've got an idea on that because this was not good. But all of the recordings will be up. So we'll edit these. We'll get them posted probably tomorrow morning sometime. And so check those out tomorrow. Sorry again about the technical problems, but I appreciate your help. Thanks for understanding and getting through it with us. All right, so we'll leave it there. We're going over to locals, watchingthewatchers.locals.com, also on YouTube as our YouTube friends come over and join us. I will grab the link and drop it in the chat, and then we'll debrief for a little bit. But until we're back here tomorrow, my friends, I think a noon Eastern time is probably a safe bet. Get up in the morning, go do some things, get prepped for the show, do the show. Then got the event tomorrow night, and the event tomorrow night is going to be great. So Chuck Grassley's, it's National Whistleblower Day tomorrow, which is why we're in DC here for that. Got an awesome invite from the guys over at Empower Oversight to go check this event out, and I'm very excited about actually meeting them in person. They've been on the channel a couple of times. Chuck Grassley should be there. Miranda Devine should be there. I've heard some other cool people will be there. And so I'm super excited about it. So thanks for coming along with us. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we'll continue to improve every time we do this. And of course, we'll come back tomorrow to get into it again. And so until then, I hope you're having a beautiful start to your week. Happy Tuesday. I hope tonight you have amazing rest and you come back tomorrow because we're going to get into it again. And in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability, transparency, and justice down upon our system is what we want to bring. My friends, we'll leave it there, and we'll come back tomorrow to get into it again. So until then, make it a great night. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but